know those times in life when we're just in the struggle? When we get just caught up and stuck in the struggle, in the frustration, in the burden, in the heavy, and we just feel weary and we get angry and frustrated because things feel heavy and dark. And we get into the struggle because we're fighting against what is. We don't like our situation, we don't like our circumstances, and things just aren't working out the way that we'd like. And no matter what we try to do to change it, no matter how hard we try, it just doesn't shift. And something doesn't line up with what we think should be or what we think we deserve. And during one of those struggles last week, unfortunately, I was feeling that despair. And in that despair, in that utter frustration, I said to God, God, you led me into this place, and you're not handling it like I thought you were going to. It's not happening the way that you had promised. It's not happening the way that I thought it would. And I can't do this anymore. I'm tired of fighting. I'm tired of struggling, and I just want out. Lord, I just want peace. You've got to show up and do something. Well, when we get to the point where we're tired of fighting and we're tired of the struggle and we really are ready to surrender, we sometimes realize in that moment a truth. And the truth to me was that I was feeling what I was feeling was not of Him, and it wasn't from Him. And there were things that were opposite of Him, that and opposite of His very nature, that were actually controlling me in those moments. And so when I'd had enough, I decided to do something different. And so I took my power back in that moment, and I commanded this struggle, this frustration, lack, scarcity, fear, all of those things to leave. And I invited peace in. Well, that took a few minutes for that shift to happen, and it was an uncomfortable few moments, but I kept speaking it, and I kept believing it. And I knew that peace was available to me because that's what God had said. And I just kept speaking, peace be still. And I breathe in peace, and I receive it, and I choose peace. Peace, come. All of the things that are of God, come, and I receive you. And all of those things that are not of Him have to leave. Well, a few moments later in my headphones, because I was actually walking at the time in frustration, but a few moments later this beautiful song began playing, and I hadn't noticed anything else that had come on that whole time because I'd been so frustrated. You know, those times when you're so focused on your despair and your frustration that you don't notice anything else around you. Well, but at that moment, this beautiful song began playing in my headphones, and the soft, peaceful voice sang these words. He said, take a moment to remember who God is and who I am. There you go, lifting my load again. No longer am I held by the yoke of this world. Come upon the yoke of Jesus. His yoke is easy, and His burden is so light. Those softly spoken words of truth brought such peace to my being in that moment. And the light came on even further. And my struggle finally broke. And when the struggle finally broke, I heard in my spirit God say, you've been carrying a heavy burden that isn't yours to carry. It was never meant for you. The things that I have called you into, that I have brought you to, are not burdensome. They're not heavy. The heavy burden that you feel is because you've taken it on as yours when it's mine to carry. So give it back to me, and I'll take care of you. And it was just that easy and that simple and that peaceful in that moment because I wasn't trusting Him with it. So I want to ask you today, are you in the struggle? Are you tired and weary, and you're fighting, and you're desperate, and you're despair, and you're frustrated, and things feel dark and heavy because you're lifting His load again? And you desperately want freedom from the struggle? Well, there's only one way out. And it's the hard way, but you have to stop the fight. And you have to tell the struggle to leave. Take back your power and make a decision right there that you're going to choose peace. Because it is available to you. And tell the lack, the scarcity, the fear, the confusion, the doubt, all of it to leave. And invite peace in. And invite it in until it comes. Because it's there for you. And it will. And take a moment today to remember who God is. Who He really is. And if you need Him to remind you, or if you need Him to show you for the first time who He really is, then ask Him and tell him, I need you to show up. And return that load that you weren't meant to carry back to him. Because his peace and his provision are present. They're available. He does not let his children go without. His yoke is easy. His burden is light. And your freedom, dear one, is waiting.